Everybody, Foo Fighter 288 here, or Eric Seidel if you read my work on Hub Pages, Whiskey Boy 288 if you follow me on Twitch. Welcome to tonight's episode of Nobody's Listening with Eric Seidel, a podcast with so far no meaning and probably hardly any listeners. For the 8 of you that do listen, bless your heart. No, seriously, thank you. You guys are like the only reason I keep making stuff. But it would be really awesome if I had like 1,000 or something views, but, you know, hell, I would be happy if 1,000 people donated to my Patreon a month. I would have all my problems figured out at that point. At least, I think that's how Patreon works, unless they keep 75 cents of every donation or some cent, then in which case I'd still $250 or whatever that would amount to. Well, still, that would be something a month, and that would really help. Oh, man, I am so sorry about the last couple nights. I never really came out of the gate saying that I was going to do this every single night. It's definitely not going to, well, I mean, I was thinking, man, I could probably put 15 minutes aside to do a podcast. No, some days are just not doable for me to do this on the daily, so there's really no set schedule for these. Does anyone ever really schedule a podcast? I'm pretty sure Joe Rogan probably does. What does that come on, like 8 o'clock on a Sunday or something? That's like a weekly deal. This is just a moron rambling for 15 minutes. So in other words, I'm a podcaster. No, I'm just kidding, everybody. I'm just kidding. I got respect for everybody. Be honest with you, I don't really watch a lot of podcasts or listen to a lot of podcasts, but I do like getting the clips on YouTube, so that's cool. But yeah, technically not going to be a nightly thing. This last week I've had, oh my god. Here's the thing. Remember when I told you, what was it, the last episode, right? Like, it was like, 4 days or something? I told you I changed my oil. And that's a great idea for everybody, for you to do that. That's huge advice I give to you. You know, change your own oil. Okay? Definitely a thing. Well, and the air filters and the cabin filters, totally doable on your own. So much cheaper, too, because mechanics will screw you with that stuff. They'll add an extra $80 on the sun. Well, I already went into all that. Here's the thing, though. I changed the coolant, did a coolant flush on my car, and that freaked me out at first, because after I had done the flush, I saw there was like about an inch missing of coolant from my coolant reservoir, and I thought, well, I hadn't driven the car. I'll get to why in a minute. But I flushed the coolant, and there was like an inch missing from the ends after I took the cap off. So I was freaking out, and I thought, oh man, I must have a leak. Oh Jesus, I must have a leak. Well, it's not really a leak, I guess. It's just probably an air bubble at the very top of the radiator. Because today I checked the coolant level again, and it's right back where it was yesterday. So that's a false. I mean, like I said, I haven't driven the car with this new coolant. So, God willing, everything will work out and there won't be any, overheats or anything like that. But, yeah, I'm no longer worried about the coolant job that I've done. Here's the big issue. After doing my own oil and air filters and all that, I was really feeling emboldened. So, I decided to buy some rear brake pad shoes. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Eric Seidel has done his own rear brakes. God help me, because here's the thing. I'm still putting them together, and I'll get to why in a minute. But damn, there's a lot involved in brake jobs. A lot of shit involved when it comes to doing your own brakes. I mean, it ain't like changing oil, brother. It is a next level shit. And keep in mind, this is my first time doing this kind of stuff, so every YouTube tutorial, every forum, every Reddit post, everything I could find was searched for in order to do my own brake job. You better believe it, because that's one thing I do not want to fuck up. So get this. I've been driving for Uber, and I was driving the car, and every time I would brake, I would hear like this, like I was dragging something, right? Well, apparently I was dragging my brakes, according to Google, and according to a couple mechanics that I drove from their mechanic shops. That's a great thing about being an Uber driver, folks. When you pick up certain people and you learn about their professions by doing a little bit of talking, you can create a whole conversation from that. You know, everybody I've driven while driving for Uber, I've either talked to a chef, or I've talked to a mechanic, or I've talked to a teacher or a doctor. You learn so much free stuff that you can't really get from YouTube tutorials, you know what I mean? But it makes great conversation, which makes the car ride go faster, which means, you know, I'm not bored out of my ass for the 20 minutes it's taking me to drive a nice nurse from John Hopkins Hospital across town or something like that, or take a mechanic from, you know, Baltimore and taking him to Dundalk. You know, you make conversation, makes the ride go so much faster. Anyway, luckily, I picked up this nice mechanic. His name was David, and I was taking him home the Middle River, and every time I braked, I put my feet on the brake, I was hearing this. I can't really replicate the sound. I'm not very good with following. But I go to stop, and there's like a grinding, dragging sound from the back passenger side wheel, right? So I'm like, what the hell was that? David, you're a mechanic, right? What is that? I asked him, right? And then he went, oh man, it sounds like you need new brake shoes. Dude, that right there, okay, free conversation with a mechanic already saved me like $150 from a diagnosis. You know what I mean? Just talking to people. Just being like, hey, what the hell is that sound? You're a mechanic. Can you figure it? Yeah, it's dragging brakes. You need shoes. Bingo, right? So here's what I did. I went straight to AutoZone. I talked to this guy named William. York Road. The AutoZone in York Road, Baltimore, Maryland. That guy, his name's William. Older guy. Cool fucking dude. Anyway, he hooked me up with back brake shoes. What else was it? Oh, shoot. Damn it. No, it was like 4 sets of brake shoes. I only had to change them on the one side. But 4 sets of brake shoes for like $60. And a special tool, brake alignment tool thing for like 10 that comes with it. So for like, plus all the oil supplies and the flush and all that I got. Altogether, I'd say I spent about $190 doing my own car work so far. I'm going to get that in a second. $190 doing my own car work. Whereas if I would have taken it around the corner or down the Jiffy Lube or something, those sons of bitches would have charged me like $600, maybe even $700. I did all that for like oh god, I'm crap with Matt at the second. Oh Jesus, that would be like 152, 200. Say 210, 220 from 700 is a quarter. It would have charged a quarter. Let's say a quarter. Let's round off, say 800, because of fees and shit, taxes and whatever. A fourth of what I would have had to pay going to a mechanic to get all this done. I'll bet it would have been done within the day. But go in there and just go into AutoZone to pay $220 and do all this on my lonesome. So much better. And you can do the same thing, folks. You can do your own car stuff. I promise you can. There's YouTube tutorials, Reddit posts. They got a whole Reddit devoted to mechanics. And I've used it. I've gone on there. I'm like, yeah, hey, something's effed up with this. And take a bunch of pictures and send them in. You'll get a bunch of mechanics telling you, like, oh, well, yeah, it looks like you got a problem with your what's-it. And all that. It's all free. It's the internet, man. It's all free. So, anyway, apart from being thrifty, the thing is, I haven't driven Uber since like last Wednesday. It's been a week. I've technically had a week vacation off. And, well, in normal sense, that'd be great because most people get paid vacations. I'm a 1099 independent contractor, okay? If I ain't moving, I ain't making money. You know what I'm saying? So, the thing about it is, even though I saved, say, $550 by doing my own car work, and the time it's taken me to do all this, I probably could have made $200. So I guess technically I'm like $300 in the hole, even though I feel like I'm being thrifty. And that shit has had me depressed for the past week. And the reason why is because it's like, you know, I don't want to do all that. But what I'm getting at is I probably would have made more money if I had just taken it to Jiffy Lube or Muffler Zone or whatever the hell in the long run. But fuck all that. I can make up that money that was lost once I get the car moving again, God willing, if this wheel cylinder that I had to purchase is good. Here's a great tip for when you're doing your brakes. Don't pump the brakes to try to get the drum back on. You're going to fuck up the wheel cylinder like this schmuck you're listening to has done. So I had to go to AutoZone again. And this time I had to pay another $40 for a new wheel cylinder, which I'm going to install on there tomorrow. What happened was the one side of the wheel cylinder seized up. I was having a hell of a time putting the drum brake back on. Actually, you know what? Fuck, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go back. Here's what happened. The tire, getting the tire off, no big deal. You jack up the car, put a jack stand under there. Also, put the tire under there just in case. I bought the cheap jack stands, you know what I mean? So just, every little bit helps. But anyway, what I did was I jacked it up, took the tire off. Taking the tire off was a mother. Because the thing is, my car comes with wheel locks. And I had lost the wheel lock key. So I spent literally a whole day trying to get the fucking wheel locks off my car without a wheel lock key. How did I do that? Well, there's tutorials for that, and for legal reasons, I'm not going to go into them in this description, but just take my word for it. After a whole freaking day of hammering, I got them off, and I replaced them with a new set of wheel locks, which, God willing, I won't lose the wheel lock key to. Son of a bitch. Oh, my God. Anyway, once I finally got the tire off, in came the brake drum. Now, like I said, there had been a grinding noise coming from my back passenger tire. So, evidently, there was a shitload of dust, and there was a good pile of it. It looked like an ash pile from an episode of Supernatural, for Christ's sake, after I had gotten done hammering all damn day to get that drum brake to come off, right? Wouldn't budge. So what I do, I get a crowbar. I'm trying to kind of twist it off. This drum brake was not coming off. You know, I was worried oh shit, am I going to have to replace the, I'm going to have to take it to a shop and have them replace the whole thing? No, I wasn't going to that point. My Jew ass was not going to that point. I wasn't going to spend that kind of money to do that. So you know what I did? I cavemaned that shit, baby. I got myself a blowtorch and I just applied a little bit of heat. Just a little bit of heat all around the sides, not hitting the lug nut zones. All around the side, a little bit of heat. That, I tell you what, that slipped right off like panties during Fleet Week. Zip, right on off. And I was able to get to the brakes, finally. But by the time I finally got to the fucking brakes, I was like, dude, I'm tired as hell. I gotta go to bed. So I spent 2 days just trying to get to the freaking brakes. Okay? One of those days I took off because it was the Ravens game. I ain't going into that. They played like shit. Colts shouldn't have been able to win. I'm not gonna go into that. I've taken a couple puffs. I'm not going into that. I'm talking about brakes. So anyway, I go to take the brakes apart. Brake shoes on the back wheel work a little different. And I mean a lot different than the ones on the front. Okay, if you ever got to do your front brakes, no big deal. Take the wheel off. I mean, after you jack it up, of course. Jack up the car, take the wheels off, open up the caliper, put in the new discs, slap that bitch back together, put the wheel back on, you're good to go. Back brakes do not work like that. It is a whole other beast, my friend. Once you take that drum brake off, and refer to a minute ago when I said that I had to use a blowtorch, it might help you. Blowtorch and a hammer, you're not going to hurt nothing. Just don't hit the lug nut seals, okay? Anyway, so once I get that drum brake off, what it is it's all springs, people. It's springs. And I'm not talking Palm Springs. I'm not talking Silver Springs. This shit is literally, you better have safety goggles on before you move them type kind of springs. I mean, there's more tension in these sons of bitches than in a actually good horror movie. Not my favorite genre, by the way. They don't scare me as much as you might think they are. But there's more tension in these fucking springs than there is in a horror movie, right? So when you go to take them off, and by the way, I highly recommend needle nose pliers, especially the little ones with the little lip on the end. You know, like they curve at the end. You know, those are the ones I used. I recommend them, not the straight, needle nose pliers, but to each his own. Needle nose pliers and a screwdriver is really useful for this. Put safety goggles on, for Christ's sake. And you use the pliers and the little like flathead screwdriver at the same time, and pull to the left or to the right, depending on what side you're on. Pull the string the spring all the way out first, then pull back and release it. Because, man, I tell you, when I pulled off the one side, that shit came by and hit me on the front of the nose. It's a good thing I had those goggles on. Really. Oh, my God. Anyway, so what I did was I went to go and take the brakes off. And Jesus Christ, I was trying to figure out how to get the things off. And once again, it was pliers and a screwdriver to adjust it. And then those springs came right off, and at which point you're able to take the shoes of the brakes off. Oh, Jesus. So when I went to put these bastards on, the new ones, a couple things went wrong. First of all, it's really important that you take pictures before you take the shoes off, which I did. I was just like, 6 angles I took of everything. But even then, I almost fucked up a couple stuff while I was putting it back on. The placement of the springs, the tension for the springs, which part of the little axle, whatever that goes on. Once I got it all oriented, and believe me, this was another whole day job, getting them all oriented, I noticed I couldn't get the drum brake back on. I thought I was almost done. I thought it was great. Well, the one side, I didn't even go into the whole emergency brake thing. That's a 2-man job. I'm not even going to describe all that. It's a pain in the ass putting that emergency brake back on. But anyway, once I got everything on there, I noticed my wheel cylinder was stuck on one side. And that's why I was having trouble putting the drum brake back on, because the one was pushed out too far. They're supposed to be perfectly, held in with the adjuster rod, so you can put the drum brake back on. Well, it turns out my wheel cylinder's fucked. At least on the one side. That's why it's not spongy on both ends. The piston is stuck out. So, I got a new wheel cylinder today for $40, and tomorrow I'm going to put that on there. And that way, at least I'll say, hey, I got a new wheel cylinder. So that's you're all caught up with my saga. Oh, my God. So, yeah, with all that said, please check out my link to Patreon below. And my link to the pictures on that art website. Jesus. Hey, if I sell 100 of those things, that's $500 right there. I get $5 for every picture. Oh my God. Anyway, yeah, that's like a subtle cry for help, is what that is. But yeah. Anyway, everybody, appreciate you for listening. Those of you who are going to be listening, this episode went on a little longer than normal, but I promise I'm not going to make 4-hour episodes where I'm going on like that. There's not enough Mary Jane in the world for that. But yeah, just wish me luck on the vehicle repairs, and hopefully I'll be back on the road soon enough to be able to get all caught up on my bills, and then at some point, once I am finally all caught up on that stuff, I'll get around to making more content. So there you go. There's the advertising portion of the video. I saved it for the end. Bunch of stuff happened in the news. I could talk about that, but I don't have my laptop on. I'm not going to Google all that. Apparently, there's a country named Azerbaijan or something. Azerbaijan. I forgot the pronunciation of it, but apparently that's right next to Armenia. I didn't realize Armenia was so small. But they got this other country next to it called Azerbaijan. I'd never heard of it. I've never heard of this country, but it's called Azerbaijan or whatever, and they're threatening to invade Armenia. And I'm like, I didn't even know that. First off, like I said, I didn't know Armenia was that small, and I never knew this other one existed. So this must have been something that just popped up in the last 10 years or something, because I had researched the area, because a character I'm writing, Jeffrey McKayen, long story, I ain't going to go into it here, but a character that I've been working on for about 10 years now, his mother was Armenian and his father was Irish, and he grew up in Northern Ireland and all that. But when I Googled countries in Eastern Europe, I looked at a map of what it was this was a few years ago. This was 4 years ago. I looked at a map of Eastern Europe, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I recognize all these countries. Yeah, this was because I was researching the Kosovo conflict. And and I made it where he went to see his grandfather in Armenia, and then Albanian. Fuck. Never mind, people. Okay, never mind. That last 2 minutes, fuck it. Albanian. His character is half Albanian, half Northern Irish, not Armenian. Okay, I never even looked at that part of the map. After all, so yeah, God only knows what's going on over in that part of the world. Oh shit. Okay, I should have quit about 4 minutes ago. Well, special thanks to the sponsor. Oh, okay. Don't worry, it's legal in Maryland, everybody. It's nothing weird. It's legal to smoke this now in Maryland. So thank you for that. I may smoke too much of it. I've completely forgotten the backstory of a character I've been working on. Anywho, well, with that said, since my brain is slowly deteriorating, it seems, and I've gone on about 6 minutes longer than usual in this episode, I think I'm going to call it a night here. Thanks for not listening, everybody. And please like, share, subscribe, and pray that I don't F up my back brakes tomorrow. Peace out, everybody.